Doesn't look like take 3 worked, so here's take 4. You guys, gay love can pierce through the veil of death and save the day. Let's talk about how. I'm Claire. I'm not a YouTuber, just a Supernatural fan who was less than satisfied with the finale and decided that I needed something more satisfying. I'm not going to say better because it's still kind of schlocky and full of, angst and plot contrivances, but I'm thinking more satisfying. Another exciting part about this is that this episode is in my imagination, which means I can have all the guest stars, special effects, and classic rock I want. And I do. So, this is just a rewrite of the final episode, 1520, but in order for it to make sense, I have to change 2 things up through the end of 1519. 1, Jack does not come back from the empty as a vacuum. Instead, the thing that happens to Jack that is never discussed on screen is that he has like a weird shiny black mark on his arm from the empty. 2, at the end of episode 1519, Chuck does not beat up our heroes, he kills them. He kills Sam, Dean, and Jack. They're all dead. Welcome to the finale. Okay. So, the finale opens the night before they go confront Chuck. That means Sam, Dean, and Jack are in the bunker with Michael. Jack and Sam are just like hanging out. Dean is blasting music. I'm thinking something by Kiss, maybe like Love Gun. And he's like, "Hey, Michael, like pre-end of world party?" Michael's like, "Oh God, no, go without me. I'm going to bed." They watch him go. They make sure he's gone. Then without turning down the music, they grab a spell book, some metal and glass containers, a couple of magical objects. They sit, the 3 of them, on the floor in a triangle. And we get a fun scene where they're doing a ritual to kiss. All right, open credits. Now remember, everyone's dead at this point. So we're starting with Sam. Sam finds himself in heaven, which, as you may recall, is kind of a mess at this point. He barrels through various heavens, looking for people. It's all sort of dismal and probably deserty. I don't know. And he finds the Roadhouse gang and Mary, who have already banded together to try to survive whatever on Earth is going on. He says, "Hi guys, I need the angel tablet to save the world, and it's somewhere in heaven." They're like, "Okay, we believe you." So we get a good scene of them working together to carry on Wayward Son. And they find the angel tablet. I don't know where they find the angel tablet. If you have an idea for where they find the angel tablet, leave it in the comments. All right, next scene, Jack in hell. So Jack finds himself in hell. A demon comes walking towards him saying something like, "Foolish mortal, your use of dark magic has damned your soul forever." And he's like, "Excuse me, hi, I would like to talk to Rowena. Is she around?" So, pretty easily the demon recognizes him. Off they go to Rowena, and Jack explains to Rowena in her court that he needs to find the demon tablet, which is somewhere in hell, and that he can use that, plus the angel tablet, to defeat God. The demons and Rowena are very into this. Jack says, "Look, there's one more thing. You have to renounce all mortal souls now and in perpetuity to purgatory or heaven." And they're like, "You've got to be joking, man. Not even for you. Like, no, what would we do with our time?" And he says, "What if I could get you all into heaven?" All right, commercial break. We return to Earth 3 weeks ago. Dean is having a dream. It's a boring, empty dream about an empty diner when Amara shows up. She says, "Look, I'm sorry I sided with Chuck. I didn't know he would destroy all of these endless worlds. I want to tell you about his weakness." And Dean is like, yes, lay it on me. So, if a mortal child of heaven and hell, she explains, assisted by an archangel of heaven and the ruler of hell, uses the angel tablet and the demon tablet at the same time, they can bring about something called Empyrean closure, which will seal off the empty, making all angel and demon souls mortal and rob Chuck of his powers. Dean says, okay, yeah, but will it bring everybody back? And Amara says, well, funny you should ask. Chuck didn't actually erase everybody because he thought he might need them later and he didn't want to have to do all the work again of making everybody all over again. So he just sort of put them in holding. So yeah, if he loses his powers, they'll all come back. And Dean says, okay, so I know the demon tablet is somewhere, but the angel tablet got destroyed. And Amara says, more good news. When Chuck got rid of all divine objects on Earth, just to make sure that you, Sam, and Jack couldn't do anything about your endless imprisonment, he did it in the laziest way possible, which is to reverse an object's course through time. So the demon tablet just got sent back to hell. The angel tablet got reformed and is now somewhere back in heaven. Dean asked her about this rule. She says it predates even them. He says, what if Chuck realizes that we're going for Empyrean closure? Will he just delete everyone? And Amara says, I don't know. If he tries, I can stop him. I can hold him off for a few seconds, but that's all you're going to get. So Dean wakes up. Dean wakes up and immediately starts doing two things. One, researching, and two, making dirty drawings to leave around for Sam and Jack to find. We get a repeated montage of Sam finding these notes and huffing like, oh, really, Dean? And he leaves them, and Jack, much more appreciative, later finds them. And one day, Sam finds a drawing, and for a second, just before he goes, ugh, Dean, his eyes go wide for a moment. Later, Jack finds the note, and we see a G-rated part of it that also contains a secret code. Finally, we fast forward back to that ritual with the kiss blaring in the background, and we see its true purpose. It was to transfer the mark of the empty to Dean. All right, another commercial break. We've seen Sam, we've seen Jack, now we're going to see Dean. Dean is in the empty because of that ritual. He's immediately confronted by the empty, who is angry as hell that there is a human in its domain, and says, you better not know Jack the highly explosive. Dean says, wait a second, I have a bargain for you. Here's the deal. If you can wake up, I just need you to wake up 3 guys, so to speak. Billie, Gabriel, and Castiel. And I will do a ritual that will take all of these souls away and leave you alone in peace forever. And the empties say, like it's kind of hard to turn that down. Dean explains the ritual, and the empty says, you don't need Castiel. And Dean says, look, no cast, no deal. Obviously. So, first we see Billie come back. Then we see Gabriel. Dean, I didn't know you cared. Then we see Castiel looking very surprised, both to be awake and to see Dean. He looks at Dean like, what's going on? Dean says to him, hey, you know when we met and I showed you a lot of stuff that kind of rocked your world and made you realize that a lot of stuff you thought you knew about yourself was actually just other people's expectations? A lot of what you thought you didn't like or weren't interested in was just your dad's voice in your head telling you to stay away, to not let yourself want what you shouldn't want? Castiel nods. Dean says, took me a lot longer. and Dean plants one right on him, and Castiel is dazed but euphoric. All right, so Billie brings the four of them back to Earth with the Empty's permission. She also grabs Jack and Rowena from Hell and Sam from Heaven. She brings them all back, and Chuck immediately senses that they're all back, freaks out, and joins them, concerned. He notices the demon and angel tablets, and Dean's like, yeah, man, Empyrean closure. Amara told us. And Chuck is really betrayed, and Sam says, well, God or not, it's good to have friends. So Sam and Dean are furious at Chuck. They're saying, we're done with the struggling and the denial and all of that stuff just for your entertainment. And Chuck's kind of able to blow it off until Gabriel steps in. And then Gabriel says, you know, I can't believe my whole family destroyed itself over you. We were looking for you for all that time, and it turns out that we were better off without you. And that kind of hurts. And Chuck is like, you know, I made you. And Gabriel says, no, you didn't. I'm more than what you made me. We're all more than what you made me. Your powers are inferior and incomplete. And Chuck says, you can't be serious. And Gabe says, oh, we're serious, Dad. It's Judgment Day. And then Chuck stops playing it cool and tries to make a move. So right away, Rowena has to grab onto the angel tablet. Gabriel has to touch the demon tablet, and Jack has to touch both. As soon as Rowena is touching the angel tablet, Gabriel, the demon tablet, and Jack both, the two tablets snap together, and a symbol forms in the air. It whooshes through Chuck like Voldemort in the first Harry Potter movie, and expands to fill the sky. So Chuck loses his powers, humans return to Earth, Billie feels the souls from the Empty leave, and most of them go to purgatory or to heaven. They don't actually go to hell because of Jack's thing. And thus we return to the central thesis of the series Supernatural, I think, which is fuck bad dads, you don't need their approval, basically. Gabe does, however, admit that he likes the books, mostly because he knows it will make everyone glare at him, and it does. So, Amara emerges from Chuck as soon as he loses his powers. They ask her, what are they going to do? She says, look, I'll take him, I'll deal with him, maybe even one day I'll rehabilitate him. Dean says that is so much more than he deserves, and Amara says, since when do we get what we deserve? Chuck cooperates and gets in the car with her since he's now one of the weakest people there. So the group looks around, they're like, what's going to happen now? They're like, Gabriel, you're an archangel, you should rule heaven. He says, what if that kid did it and I was like a readily available resource? They're like, what? And he's like, oh yeah, Jack got his powers back. They're like, what? And he's like, let me show you. And he snaps, and Crowley's there, who, by the way, just woke up in purgatory like 10 minutes ago after years sleeping in the Empty, and now he's on Earth, and he's like, what on earth is going on? But before he can object, Gabriel is like, all right, Jack, come here, lay your hands on him. And Jack says, okay, and he like puts his hands on Crowley, and Gabriel says, imagine him as a vessel to be filled with light. And Jack says, okay, and imagines filling him with light, and then Crowley starts glowing, and Jack takes his hands away, and they're like, Gabriel, what just happened? And Gabriel is like, Crowley is an angel now. And Crowley is like, what? How could you do this to me? But it works because it convinces everyone that Gabriel should not be in charge of heaven, and that actually Jack should be in charge for multiple reasons. So now Rowena's here. She's like, okay, what about hell though? If we're not going to have any mortal souls, are we just supposed to just like hang out and wait to die so that we can spend untold centuries in purgatory before theoretically maybe getting to heaven? That sucks. Was that your promise? Jack says, no, actually, good news on that. I'm opening up the borders between heaven and hell. So angels can visit hell whenever they want, and demons can visit not the human part of heaven, but the palaces of heaven where the angels are, like Angel HQ, as long as they keep their hands to themselves relatively. Gabriel says, we're going to be making a whole lot more angels, and they're going to need somewhere to go for vacations and, like maybe bachelor parties. So you could probably leverage that. Rowena considers this. So Sam, Dean, and Cass go to leave, and Sam turns to them and says, actually, I talked to Jack, and I'm going to go with him back to heaven. And Dean and Castiel are like, what? Like, why should we go with you? And Sam says, no, man, I want you to stay and have a happy family because I want there to be a happy family with the last name Winchester somewhere on Earth, somewhere in the universe. And Dean's like, yeah, well, okay, you can see the wisdom in that. They say, will you at least be able to come back? Sam says it's going to be a lot harder now. I think Jack will help me come back once a year, maybe on Christmas. I can come and renew Cass's grace. It won't be enough for him to use full time, but like maybe enough for emergencies, like in case somebody gets cancer or something. And Dean is like, dude, I can't believe you're like, I'm gonna be the one living a long life. And Sam's like, dude, I'm gonna be an angel. It's gonna be awesome. And indeed, we skip forward 1 year and we do find Sam in the midst of angeldom. Actually, we see him leaving a Christmas party in heaven, and here's where the whole imagination land thing gets pretty great, because we can have OG Charlie in heaven, we can have Kevin and his mom, we can have Mary, we can have Kelly, we can have Missouri, and of course the Roadhouse gang. And Sam says, I'll be right back, you guys, doing my yearly Earth trip thing. They're like, all right, take care. We hear the fluttering of wings, and we cut to a kitchen on Earth where Castiel is removing a pie from an oven, and Dean sees him doing it and is just so overcome that he just has to make out with him right then and there, much to the protestations of their two small adopted children. And by the way, there can be guests at this Christmas too, if I want to. New Charlie and her girlfriend, Eileen, and any or all of the Wayward Sisters. But of course, last to arrive is Sam. We see them celebrate, and the song Who Says You Can't Go Home plays over their celebrations. Maybe we even cut to Rowena and Crowley celebrating in hell. I don't know. But if you stay through the whole credits, the song that plays is, of course, Heat of the Moment. So that's my ending. Sam, who of course is an abomination, has now become an angel. Dean has an apple pie life. Castiel is immortal. In my head, they hunt part-time. And nobody goes to hell anymore because that's gross, and I never liked it. Nobody goes to hell. In fact, maybe even someday Lucifer will have spent enough millennia running around purgatory, like freaking out about monsters trying to eat him, that even he will get into heaven. We don't know. If you like this video, awesome. That's why I made it. If you have ideas for improvements, you can put them in the comments section. It's not like I shot this episode, so if we like your ideas better, we can just say that's how it was. If you want to show your appreciation, don't bother subscribing because I'm not going to make any more videos. What you can do, though, is I'm trying to start a nonprofit called Dandelion Village. It's going to be a foster home and animal shelter where the kids help take care of the animals. And if you donate, that would sure show Andrew Dab a thing or two, probably. Somehow, maybe, I don't know. Or if you don't want to donate to like a random person, but you still have tons of extra money and you're annoyed about Supernatural, you can donate to the Castiel Project. One more thing you can do is tweet at Jenny Nicholson to give us her version of Star Wars Episode 9, because Supernatural is not the only fandom that needs some Empyrean closure. All right, bye, thanks.